Portfolios are Roger today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Portfolios are Roger today. It's been a tough day in the markets today.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. This is, I think, what's the bigger talking point the last couple of days has been even what S. Narain had to say with regards to mid-cap and small-cap funds, right?
That was a big one.
It was a big one. And I yesterday, Mahima, we were talking about this, that obviously you don't argue with a man who is of the wealth of S. Narain's experience.
Yes.
That he knows what he's saying. He's not a mug. He's a great investor.
Yeah.
I was reading some of the points that he's mentioned as well, and he's saying that if you've started your SIPs only in 23 or 24 in the small cap funds, then your near-term experience might be slightly tough simply because there is going to be some more pain at the mid-cap and the small-cap end of the market on the fund side. But having said that, I think, I think today Sridhar Sivram of Enam was here and he kind of echoed the point that I was making yesterday, that if you are a DIY investor who knows what stocks you are going to buy in the mid-cap, small-cap space, right, from 251 to 6,000. So if you know where to pick your companies, some businesses are in great ranges to start investing, but because there is an uncertainty of the global macro, you don't know how much of a dip can come in.
Correct.
And therefore because nobody knows what the market is currently doing.
Correct.
So पहले ये होता था कि you buy your stock if it's in your range because कल लेने को मिलेगा कि नहीं पता नहीं है.
Correct.
Now the opposite is there, that more likely than not, if you like this stock at the current valuations, you'll probably get it cheaper as well. So don't put all your money to work currently. If it is in your zone and if you know the sector or the stock, by all means invest a little bit, keep a tracking quantity in your portfolio and then track the stock, maybe buy at lower levels as well. The market is not going away. But I don't know, I mean, shunning the whole mid-cap, small-cap space seems difficult. But for now, that prophecy of everybody who in the last 3 months have said that buy large caps and avoid mid-caps has turned out to be true.
But do you think that this strategy, of course, is, if a person like S. Narain is saying this, then it makes sense when it comes to buying of stocks. But do you think that this holds true for SIPs as well? Because yesterday we talked about compounding, right? And at the end of the day, if you're talking about compounding, a small cyclical movement will not probably, hamper your longer term returns.
So it shouldn't. So
plus units allocated is more.
Exactly, right? Which is what will hold true. The only difference, and you got to examine it. I have no clear answer. I don't think anybody has a clear answer. The only difference is, do you want to do an SIP? Or don't stop an SIP. Do you want to do an SIP in the large cap area, which is also correcting, or do you want to do in the mid cap area? Now, I would believe that, which is why what you said yesterday, flexi cap funds or multi cap funds. So leave and that might be a great option. But difficult to call really.
Absolutely.
And frankly, there's no comfort with regard to valuations when you're looking at 5-year averages. When valuations ran up sometime last year, felt like earnings growth was catching up very, very quickly. That seems to have tapered off in a large sense.
But देखो वही change होगा ना Hersh. The government will do some spending Q3, Feb and March, right? Nilkant Mishra in the Access conference today, his belief is that there was a big withdrawal of liquidity or a holding back of liquidity, which is now reversing, and you will see high frequency indicators start pointing towards a recovery in May and June, and therefore numbers will start looking very good July onwards, right? But the commentary comes in May and June quarter as well. So you have a period of pain for the next couple of 2-3 months maybe. And then hopefully a cyclical recovery gets underway.
And this might be sector-wise also, right? Because we're seeing some pockets.
The re-rating plays
exactly.
So it'll take time basically, because thereafter the re-rating will start playing out, right? I mean, you wouldn't, or would the market move ahead of commentary?
देखो यार, September से the markets became wary, right? Market typically discounts 6 months in advance. So September से the market became wary because the market kind of realized that October, November, December, maybe a bit of a recovery but not as strong. JFM, maybe a bit of recovery, not as strong. Will the market start discounting what will happen in H2 from April, May is the question. To which, I don't know. this is also the problem is that this is not happening while the global macro is steady. That is the
Yeah,
problem.
that- true.
If the global macro was steady, then you could have penciled in कि April में से recovery चालू हो जाएगा. फिलहाल the global macro is not steady.
Global macro has more negative bias than positive, is what I feel, because rate cuts
Trump
looking
tariffs.
bleaker and bleaker
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the day. And the other thing which really stood out on the domestic front, as part of what S. Naren was speaking, was the fact that he said that there's been a transfer of risk from balance sheets of banks to our balance sheets or the balance sheets of retail investors. Because from companies picking up debt,
They have picked up equity.
they've picked up equity. And you see that across the board. Today I was looking at Varun Beverages. Yesterday results, day before yesterday results came, I was looking at the numbers. Yesterday I was again looking at it today. And when I was looking at it today as well, essentially they've done 8,000 crore of equity.
Equity. And paid off the debt.
And paid off debt.
Yes.
And it's trading at 70 times. It's a top class company. It's a great franchise. It's corrected. And therefore I was looking at it, viability of whether it makes sense at this point for an investor to enter. And it still doesn't look all that comfortable because you've done an equity raise, you'll basically dilute EPS for some time. Thereafter growth will start to kick in at 70 times earnings, trailing 12 months. So all of those factors. Not trying to sound bearish, but I mean that's just
It's okay to sound
unfortunately
bearish.
the reality.
It's okay to sound bearish.
And you've seen a 15 to 17% cut where the mid cap and small cap indices are concerned from the highs. And despite that, the data which Chinmay Vasudev shared with us just maybe half an hour or so back, and we present that on India Market Close today, was that RSI indicators are still not indicating the kind of rough correction we are seeing in markets. I mean, not exactly a correction, but whatever choppiness we are seeing in markets, RSI indicators are still quite buoyant in that sense. And they're not sitting in oversold territory. And therefore, could a deeper correction be on the cards? Well, that's really the question.
So here's the statistic. The 22,500 put saw the maximum writing in yesterday's session, right? 87 lakh
Trade
contract.
setup.
Yes.
Yes.
So people are really writing for
Yeah.
far out options. You know, the support levels are not true. But any case, the cut, मेरे हिसाब से, I think great time to identify your businesses, keep your pencils ready, note down these things, and do a staggered buying. And then, of course, then it's also a matter of when some luck this time because you need the global things to turn your way.
Right.
So,
But I like Madhukela's thought process a little bit better. What he was saying was it's going to be a very choppy 2025. So the better way to do this is keep cash through the year, and what you should do is do a lot of homework through the year.
exactly.
Because the market will give you lots of opportunities pretty
Right.
much through the year. So if you have cash through the year and you have opportunities which you know that will do well,
Yes.
you might well benefit.
Absolutely. Or maybe, go for alternate options like gold, because gold is up almost 11% YTD. So maybe if this year, if you want to make money, probably that's where you would
Has it
want to
run its
invest.
Or yes, exactly. That was the question I was going to ask.
When
Has
I
it
was
already
talking,
done what it has to?
so when I was talking to Gautam Shah of Goldilocks, he did say that he is penciling a 35% growth for gold in the next 2 years. That is what he is kind of reading as per the data he has
At the
studied.
start of this year,
But
when the Nifty was around 25k, most analysts were suggesting that there will be another 1,000-point run up. First half of the year, second half of the year will be a flatter. Most analysts were penciling in that. So I mean, not being critical of views,
Yeah.
But who knows?
it's always the
Who
run
knows,
up, and
yes.
thereafter people getting bullish. And gold has really run up. I mean,
yeah.
gold
Absolutely.
has
There is
outperformed
no
the
stopping.
index.
Yeah, exactly.
Last 3-4 years.
And even this YTD Nifty has fallen 2% now, but gold is up 11%. So
Yeah. But I'm
That's
saying
how
even on
things
a
are.
broader frame, in terms of timeline, gold has
Yeah.
done extremely well. I'm
Extremely
not
well,
sure.
yes.
Yeah, but usually gold pencils in 13-14% returns through the year.
Through the year.
It's been 11%, 12% already. A lot of front loading.
Yeah.
If things happen around US interest rates, right, and dollar strength, then you might well see some bit of reversal as well, temporary as it may be. So be buoyant, but which is why I think SIP helps, right? If you
Yeah.
bought it in Jan, you bought it in Feb, you kind of made your money.
And I think the
on
uncertainty
gold.
also is adding to the gold.
Of course.
Absolutely.
The way Trump is, even though everyone's saying that, "Arey, what uncertainty, this was expected," but it's still uncertainty. So
Okay, this query is interesting. Abhineet Srivastava, he is saying that one blue chip stock name to add from each of you, please. That's all we want as retail investors. I don't think we can give stock names.
Yeah, we can't. But you know what we can do is maybe talk about things
Sectors,
that people
yeah.
have said, right?
Yeah,
People have
for
said
sure.
on it that these are the things that look very interesting or promising, etc., and stuff like that. So everybody's. A lot of people have spoken about buying into either BFSI or pharmaceuticals as being couple of spaces wherein the earnings growth momentum still looks very, very intact, and maybe therefore the likes of an HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, etc., which form the top list for most people, or a Kotak, or from the pharma pack, some of the CDMO names, wherein the commentary after a very strong Q3 has been strong, and the valuations are okay, and they're not out of whack completely in some cases. So maybe that's a bucket. So I would pencil in maybe BFSI. Safe, balance sheets are repaired. If indeed the economy were to pick up, things will go well. But if it's not to pick up, the valuations are not too demanding, not as demanding as they used to be. So maybe that. I don't know what you guys think.
Makes sense. In fact, blue chip, I'm not sure if you know all of these stocks. I mean, and of course they don't fall in the category of blue chip. But HSBC had come out with an interesting note yesterday where they've given 5 picks.
Oh yeah.
And their picks include these 5 names. That is your Dixon Tech, your Maruti Suzuki, PB Fintech, Godrej Properties, and LTI Mindtree. So these are their 5 picks in the market slowdown is what they've what their note is saying. So these are the 5 interesting picks that HSBC has come out with.
yeah, so Niraj sir spoke about BFSI, so maybe I won't talk about that. What I'll try to probably do is speak about maybe auto, and within auto, I feel that the entire push with regard to consumption may well aid the two-wheeler segment in auto. And when you're looking at the largest cap, and it's just my research, and therefore please feel free to do your own research. When I was looking at the largest two-wheeler manufacturer in the world, Hero, you're looking at it bottomed out in terms of price to earnings at around 10 times during COVID, trailing 12 months. And currently, if you bought at that value, it was at 1500 at that time. Today, you'd be sitting on 4500 rupees, is roughly the stock price of Hero. But what you've seen is earnings have doubled, and you might likely see a decent tailwind to earnings now going forward, because rural, there's a bit of a pickup, and therefore you might see that. And of course, please go through commentary, do your own research, but some good two-wheeler names within consumer discretionary, some air conditioner names, refrigerator manufacturers, washing machines, etc., might well do decently well in a market like this, where valuations continue to be reasonable. So the Hero example, only from a valuation perspective, the 5-year price to earnings largely in line with where the trailing 12 months PE is currently. So you might want to check that one out.
But was it Hero where I was recently reading about how it's not able to scale up for the 125cc bike, and where Honda is actually catering to that audience. So when we're talking about even Bajaj is doing that. And if we're talking about discretionary spending, I believe that people will go for a higher end product than a 100cc bike. So maybe the other two
could work both ways, Mahima. It could work where the lower end of the bracket who aren't currently able to afford a bike could go for the
100cc,
and then the
that
100 could well go to 200, because there's such a large market even below the 100cc, which is untapped at the moment, that you could. I mean, just a thought.
Right.
Puneet's generally the auto guy.
The auto guy, yeah.
But
Makes sense.
I had to take a pick outside of the FSI because
I just mentioned something that I hear from people.
Yeah.
I've said nothing else, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is one. I don't know. In times of maximum pessimism is when
money is made.
Money is
but
made,
is
right?
this maximum pessimism?
I hope so. I hope so.
देखो, the last few days on most people who are active traders, everybody is saying कि अलग level का selling है. You know, this is usually the time comes in wherein the bravest of bulls, the biggest of bulls, start thinking that are we in the right, are we in the right space of work, which is markets. So I think we're starting to see that people are suddenly feeling, "Arey, what is happening?" Right? This is something that is unseen, and it's never unseen.
Yeah.
You've seen this in the past. So I think that is starting to happen.
I have a question. Once you're done.
No, just one small
please.
point. As Rakesh Jhunjhunwala said, right, that चाराने में ताजमहल तभी मिलता है जब आपके पास चाराना नहीं होगा. So you actually get things very, very cheap just when you feel that, oh no, I don't have the money or I can't afford to put in the money.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we are very cheap right now, but we are no longer as expensive.
Correct.
On a lot of sectors, on a lot of stocks. So therefore, I mean, look at the data that we presented today, right? There are at least 4 sectors which are down more than 25% from the peak.
Yes.
So it's not that stocks haven't fallen.
Right.
Yes.
And the growth has not been that bad. So
In
it
some
doesn't
of them.
deserve, in some of them,
In
not
some of
yeah,
them.
in some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them,
yeah.
yeah.
So how much downside? I think there's a question that is coming. How much
Yeah, how
downside
much
do you see? I
downside?
think it's very difficult to pencil in. Just that currently, because it's global in nature, it's very difficult to figure out when will the EM shunning end. And FI selling is incessant because it's not just necessarily India being sold. Ex-China, almost everything else is seeing outflows. That is the problem.
And that beautifully aligns with my question. $11 billion of selling in current year, calendar year 2025. So yes, valuations are elevated. Everything that S. Naren said is great. Great in theory. What if FI is reverse? Will they reverse into stocks which are undervalued, or will they buy at any price, or will they not think? Your experiences in the past, what would it tell you?
No, so FI reversal could happen if there is some macro turn taken by the country itself too, right? Now, what if there is a large disinvestment or a large RBI dividend or something that comes about, which might make the government spending on capex a lot more plausible than what it is right now as well, and stuff like that. That is one. And two, like I said, I think I'm hopeful that it may not really change the fortunes of the market, but I'm hopeful that Thursday, Friday meeting of Donald Trump with Prime Minister Modi allays some fears around trade war impact on India, because currently everybody's India will also get as impacted. Sure, India could get impacted, but maybe there is some method to the madness which might help. So if FI selling turns, then for sure, I mean, that's the mark. But Sridhar Sivaram was saying today that when he speaks to his counterparts in New York who manage EM monies, the EM funds, EM as an asset class is seeing heavy redemptions because people have not made money in the emerging market pack except for India and Taiwan. Most other emerging market currency markets have not given good returns. In such a scenario, if that basket is seeing redemption, India will not be left alone.
And you are getting 4.5% dollar returns and dollar strength. So you will have to see 2-3 reversals start to happen. One, you will have to see the dollar reversal happen likely to be able to justify EM returns. And thereafter you will have to start to see. Okay, too much theory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, so this brings us to this question: that should we go the S. Naren way or the Parag Parikh way?
Parag Parikh is sitting on cash.
On
Parag
cash.
Parikh is sitting on nearly 20-21% cash.
Yeah.
Not all of that is sold. Some of it is also because cash tha or markets niche gaya hai, so cash goes up. But as of 1st Feb, Parag Parikh was sitting on 21% cash. So technically Parag Parikh is doing the same thing. But some people are now starting to allocate a little bit of capital.
Right.
So I don't know if S. Naren way and Parag Parikh way is different.
Yeah, no, it's the same. In fact, S. Naren, just for clarification, suggested that flexi cap is the way forward because it gives flexibility to the mutual fund manager to do what he wants, including sit on cash, which is what Parag Parikh is doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
At least the flexi cap fund. liquid fund, etc. might be different.
All right. Do you want to wrap it up with this this comment,
Yeah,
Niraj?
thank you so much. Mahima is the youngest.
There's a comment which says, not sure who is the youngest, but Niraj is definitely the oldest.
No prize for guessing that.
Yes.
No, but also the most experienced.
Also the most experienced and the wisest.
That
must
I
say.
don't know.
Yeah, no, that we know for sure. So, yes.
But yes, I'm the youngest. And
No, he's not the youngest.
So I can vouch for that. The lady here.
Yes.
By any chance. With that, let's just
Yes.
wrap it up today
Yes.
and see you tomorrow at
tough
12:50.
day. Wishing you all the very best from all of us here at Bulls, Bear, and Banter.
Banter.
Thank you.